spoke to the policeman about.
Remind me what that was, I vaguely.
So here's what happened. There was a brother over there.
Oh yes, the praying.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
praying,
So
the praying.
there was a brother over there praying on his own.
Yes, yes.
And do you agree that it's fine to pray on your own? That there's no rule. The rule is in congregation.
Yep. Which means two or more.
Yes. So he was praying on his own. The policeman went up to him, tapped him on his back, was disturbing his prayer. And the policeman said what he wanted to do was he wanted to let him know that if someone was to join next to him,
to ensure that it
yes, which I get that point. My point to him was, can you respectfully let him finish his prayer? He's not hurting anyone. He's not breaking any rules.
Yet,
speak off.
Yet. So I guess the police viewed it as proactive action.
Yes, and so but do you see my point about the respect, about letting it? There was no need.
Because again, I think that's a slippery slope.
So you think that's
the message
fine?
that if you're a Muslim praying, an officer of the law must not communicate with you because you deserve respect because you're praying.
No, he deserves respect because he's human. He deserves respect as a citizen. He deserves respect.
In the act of prayer. But my point was, you seem to be arguing.
No, but did you disagree?
That the act of prayer means an officer of the law cannot approach and talk to
No, that's
them.
not what I said. There may be a situation
Well,
where
but
I did. There may be a situation where he has to disturb the prayer. It may be a serious situation or something like that.
Right. So you're saying the seriousness was not sufficient.
No, but in that situation, he was praying on his own by a tree. And the policeman went all the way over, out of the park, to where there was no one around this guy. There was no one even around him.
In the context where there was strong belief and intelligence that the Muslim community were just waiting to reinstigate the collective prayer here. And that very same day, because I was here earlier that day, but I don't think I was here at that point.
That's a separate point, isn't it? That's a separate point.
Mohammed, Ali Dawa and another guy went over there with their prayer mats and they were about to put them down, and the police obviously got there a little bit earlier in that moment, and they stopped them. And Ali Dawa looked a bit sheepish, and then they walked off to Marble Arch. That, to me, and that's why I reacted to what I saw that you were having that dialogue, because that very day, and generally, we're waiting for the less sensible Muslims to start doing it.
So do you agree in that situation I was fine doing what I'm doing then? Because you said quite a few comments about...
You were within your rights to talk and criticise the police officer, yes.
Yeah, and to be honest, I was
I didn't
asking for
agree
respect.
I didn't agree with you, but you were within your rights.
But
to
do you
make
agree
your
with me
point.
now? You do agree with me now then?
No, because it's in the context of a waiting game. Hopefully I'm wrong, but a waiting game for this to be reinstigated.
Well, what was interesting, because obviously we spoke and I tried to explain in the comments about what had happened, and you literally jumped straight onto all Muslims are doing this and all Muslims.
What was I saying?
You were saying that but all Muslims are trying to break the rules, and
I'm not sure if I said all Muslims.
That was what the comments were suggesting.
I'm sure I don't think that would have been my precise words. Well, I would say the fact that, referring to another situation of Muslims praying in Berwick Street and in other scenarios, when they've done it in Paris and when they've done it in other locations, in my view, it's not about sincere religious
no one should pray to be in your faith. No one should do that.
And I strongly believe that's a big part of why that's doing.
A Muslim was strongly not
all Muslims.
Okay, fine.
I believe there are some that do.
A small percentage. I come here. Everyone prays over there fine.
Well, and let's hope that continues. And let's hope it does. The fear of that police officer.
My personal opinion
and my fear
is
that it doesn't happen.
I don't see why it's offensive if a few Muslims
it's
pray
not,
over
it's
there.
not,
Can I interfere and ask a question, sir? What if I brought... Hello, sir.
Because it's the regulation. And it's part of your own religion that tells you to respect. Can you please respect people, not just butt in with your arrogance? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let them...
Because we've actually been having a very decent conversation for about half an hour.
Thanks for the politeness, but yeah, all right.
So anyway, it is the regulation, and as you know, and I know, it is part of your religion that you respect the local rules and regulations and laws. However, there are some people that clearly don't accept that, or think that there are some scenarios that are excluded from it, and think they can do it. And even when they're educated on, because I can understand.
You're really passionate about it, aren't you? I can't understand why you're so passionate.
Because it annoys me. Because one thing for to prevent anarchy, one thing for a safe, secure and calm, we'll fuck off and walk somewhere else then. Well, it's irritating, it's really irritating. I do. Maybe that's a weakness of mine. But when I'm having a very decent, reasoned conversation with a Muslim brother, and then you get little shits just like doing that in your ear, it's just pathetic. It's just pathetic. Well, hopefully they've gone now.
When you're ready,
it worries. So no, you can't.
Wait.
Because I don't want to. So one thing you need for any stable society, you have to have one rule for all. You have to have one law for all. That is something that I hold very, very dearly, and I think that's very, very important. And I'm very passionate about it. And I just see examples of stuff where we're not following that principle. I think that is a slippery slope. I think it's a dangerous slope. And you might say collective prayer in the royal parks is a silly, innocuous example, but it's part of a bigger picture.
It seems to me to be directed at the Muslims, but
because they're the ones that are preaching it.
No, but I've been here the 2 times.
I don't like kosher slaughter any more than I like halal slaughter.
Fine.
As another example of how we have a law that's gone through the secular democratic process of Britain, and Britain rolls over and makes an exception in the law. But that's another example that's even more significant than praying.
Stay on the park. So I remember being down here, and there was a group of Muslims praying, and you were really angry, like frothing almost. You were really upset.
There was one day when I was frothing, and that was when Tan was being taken out the park by the police, and that's probably the most angry point I've ever had.
Let me explain.
Because I viewed that as not the only, unfortunately, example where the police were placating the bullies, where violent, aggressive, intimidating Muslims in this case, invariably Muslims at Speaker's Corner, had bullied an individual out who had every equal right to stand in this park and say whatever he said, which was Tan. And the police were basically walking Tan out of that park. And I was in complete and utter disbelief that the police not only were facilitating that, they were doing it. That is the only time that I can remember that I got really, really incredibly angry.
Okay.
So that was about them walking Tan out.
I struggle feeling sorry for Tan, but I understand that point there.
Because it was outrageous, and you're giving in to the bullies.
In our earlier chat, you were agreeing that Tan, some of the stuff he said was not acceptable.
But I also said he never broke the law, and he should have every right to say what he said.
Yeah, and I made
just because you or I might find it not nice, or you know.
But why were you not angry when Tan was removed then when he said the N-word and stuff like that?
He wasn't. I don't think he was. Because I go back, the speech that he gave over there, Steve Barnes was standing within feet of him giving that speech, completely within earshot. He heard every single word. And Steve Barnes even told me afterwards, he said, he was observing the crowd and gauging what their reaction was. And
Can we get back to prayer? Give me a couple of minutes, because basically, if I explain, I came down once. This is the time you look really angry, and basically what would happen was
was it him?
Yeah, someone prayed, and then other people had joined in because they didn't know the rules of the park. And I know that for sure. I think it was over there, and you were really angry about it.
I was angry about the town.
But that wasn't Muslims praying on purpose. That was an accident. So I didn't see the billion.
It was an accident.
It was an accident.
I'm sorry. The individual who lays out the tarpaulins in Marble Arch was the individual who started laying out them here.
That wasn't this time. That wasn't this one. This was.
Well, he did that there.
Not regulars, and they'd come
before
along.
The police just finally pulled their socks up and decided that they were going to enforce this regulation was because that individual, I'm sure it wasn't just him, but he was the key individual that would bring his little table and bring his trolley with all the mats rolled up and laid them out in that corner week after week all day long.
Fine. So I'm telling you, that's what I saw. And then I came here.
So funny they chose the very same spot. Sorry to jump in. They chose the very same spot. I don't accept that it was strangers.
No, I saw how angry you were. But then I also saw you. I came down over the Christmas period, and you were joining in with the kind of the Christian. You were standing there singing it.
I sang over there.
No. I saw you singing it. I saw you singing it there. Very happily and proudly singing all the Christian hymns.
That's a lie.
I saw you on my life.
I did it over there.
I saw you.
I did it over there, and I was taking the mickey out of them over there because I'm not a Christian person. I didn't do it here.
Okay. But you did join in.
But you know what?
You joined in.
Over there. over there. Okay. That's not the Royal Park. Okay. That's Westminster. What? You're just mumbling to yourself. Another one. That's not the Royal Park. That's Westminster Council, I think.
Okay, fine.
There's no regulation in Westminster Council for that not to happen.
But the point I'm making is, it seems to be you're very. It's all Muslims, isn't it? It's all
Muslims attempting to break the regulations.
Something tells me if you saw two Muslims, if you saw two Christians doing something act of worship, you would not have the same hate in your face.
The only violence I've seen from non-Muslims at Speaker's Corner is the Catholic Evidence Guild, and twice I've seen the speaker from the Catholic Evidence Guild literally jump off their green wooden plinth thing that they stand on. One headbutted someone, another one punched another guy. That they were Catholics committing violence. Apart from those two scenarios, I can't. Oh, and was it Busker, the guy that punched Ratboy on one occasion? You know, the weekend. I mean, there was a fight today, I understand, between two Muslims. Unfortunately, I have to say, and this is the point, I have to tell myself that the Muslims that come to Speaker's Corner are not representative of Islam, because I see appalling behaviour from Muslims.
I'm glad you
pretty
can say
much,
that.
pretty much week in, week out at Speaker's Corner, which is why I go back to what I was saying earlier about more decent, sensible Muslims calling them out, verbally, publicly.
This calling out business? I'd rather not be on COE. I'd rather not be on COE.
Why not COE?
I don't want to be on COE.
What have you got against COE?
We can talk about it later, but I don't want to be on COE.
Talk about it now. What have you got against Leon?
No.
Had something against Leon.
I see COE.
They don't edit.
I see COE as they building up Ralph's kind of ideology.
How?
That's something. Let's stick to
Bilal does pieces to camera.
Okay, let's stick to the topic.
I'm sorry, Suleiman does pieces to camera.
No, the point I want to make to you is, the point I make to you is linked to Bilal and Suleiman.
Right.
There's a guy at the park today that I saw, the guy that you did your fundraising for.
Yes.
The one that had raped an 87-year-old.
I can't believe you're bringing that up.
No, I know, but I saw him here. Do you think he should be here?
He's here again today.
Yeah. Why should
you think he should be here? Because again, that's a why. When I've seen him here a couple of weeks now, and I'm thinking, why is no one speaking out about him? Why is no one?
Well, I think I did, didn't I? When it came to
I haven't seen. I've seen him sitting over there. I've seen him sitting over there.
No. Do you know when I foolishly started that crowdfunding? The second I found out, I reacted like that.
I heard that. I did hear that. But he's back in the park. He's back in the park.
But that wasn't the point. I was raising money for him after Channel 4 featured him as a homeless veteran. As soon as I discovered his criminal history, I immediately stopped the crowdfunding, and it went to a charity. It didn't, and not a penny went to him.
Okay, well done with that. And by being here today, you're fine with that? By him being here today?
So who should not be allowed to come to Speaker's Corner?
Well, you're the one telling me earlier.
I've not said anyone shouldn't come here.
You do. You said certain Muslims need to be spoken out against here.
Well, that's not denying them right to be here.
No, it's not denying right to be here.
So you're jumping to a conclusion.
No, I don't mean, you're not saying to ban people from the park.
No.
But you're saying to me as a Muslim, I need to call out people. Yeah, you're not calling anyone out.
Because they are.
You don't call anyone out on your side.
At least.
Yeah, you expect me as a Muslim to call out
because
Muslims.
I'm not here as part of a faith or as part of a group.
So Muslims,
you are.
Muslims have to live by the standard. Muslims have to live by the standard.
Don't perform for the camera. You're starting to perform for the camera.
I'm not. You're starting to raise. Look, if I got a word in edgeways here, the only way I'm going to get a word in is by raising my voice to you.
We were having
you
a decent
back the video. We can still have a decent conversation.
Well, let's continue.
But you keep cutting me off. You keep cutting me off. So when I'm speaking, just let me speak a bit. Let me speak a bit.
But they are doing bad dawah, are they not?
Who?
The bad representatives of your faith.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't looked into it enough. If what you say is true, if what you say is true, I agree. Yes, I agree.
Have you not personally witnessed bad dawah?
Yes.
Lots of it. I'm not talking about little individual snippets, a month here, a month later.
I've seen bad behaviour from Muslims. I've seen bad behaviour from Christians. I've seen bad behaviour from non-Muslims.
What bad behaviour have you seen from Christians?
When you say bad behaviour, you're talking about violence and things like that.
I want to know.
Because I haven't seen any violence from Muslims here. Me personally, I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any. Really? Have you seen yourself? Have you seen people on what?
Regularly. Scuffles breaking out, fights breaking out. More often than not, at this sort of time of day and later. But it happens during the day as well.
I'll tell you what I see down here. I'll tell you what I see. I see the Christians here not really representing Christianity that well. I see them just attacking Islam.
Attacking.
Any time they've got.
Attacking. What do you mean by attacking?
Here's my so you could see if Shamsi was to stand up on a platform, he would talk about and preach Islam. if Hatun was to stand up on a platform, she would be hating Islam. I don't really hear Christianity being preached much here, and I want to hear about Christianity, but I don't hear it being preached.
To be honest,
so it is an attack on Islam.
Why is it an attack?
Have you not heard?
Why
what
do
they
you use
say?
that word, attack?
I'll tell you what, because
I view it as criticism, challenge.
Okay. Every week after week, just criticism of Islam. That's not attack. Week after week, week after week.
Are you seriously saying people, Muslims, for example, are not attacking Christianity week after week after week in exactly the same way?
If they are, I wouldn't support that. I certainly don't see it as much from the
Well, I
Muslim
can certainly
side.
tell you that the Pakistani guy that stands on the green chair over there, I'd say most of his content is attacking Christianity.
I would say to you, almost every Christian missionary I see is against Islam. I know you could pick out certain Muslims.
But that goes...
It doesn't go both ways.
No, that wasn't what I was going to say. I was going to say that goes by default, doesn't it? Yeah. If you stand and publicly represent and speak for your religion, you are by default standing against all the other religions.
But you're an example yourself, because in our chat earlier you were saying about you stand against all religions and their books and all that. Clearly,
I've spent many hours here over the years.
Your content online must be 90% Islam. Your content online must be because of the people here, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's slightly less now, or definitely less now, but I'd say, 6 months ago and the year and 18 months prior to that, I'd say 90% of the content of Speaker's Corner was Muslim. So, and I'm not, obviously.
You're watching the Dawah channel, so
created that. No, I'm not. That is part of the issue, but it's also the downside. That is the downside. That is part of. Yeah, I'm trembling. That is part of the problem. All of these cameras. To be honest, whether they're Dawah or whether they're not Dawah, I think these tripods, these cameras, and I will include COE on this as well, to a certain extent, although I think they are less biased than any other channel that comes here. But generally, I think the filming and the putting online of stuff at Speaker's Corner has not been for the greater good.
Agreed.
I think it's deteriorated Speaker's Corner because it whips up hate, it whips up nonsense that doesn't just go on one day of the week, it goes on 7 days of the week. And it's the comments, it would be slightly better if you all...
the Muslims nodding. If everyone agrees with you on that.
Well, I saw one.
I know you want them to react, but
can I suggest that you at least turn off the comments? Because I think the comments are a big part of the problem. I got banned and I haven't even been told why yet.
So the freedom of speech,
because it's hampering. It is hampering the quality and the diversity of Speaker's Corner, and it's creating violence. And I think often, not many, much.
And COE's comment section is a cesspit. There's no moderation. People, I've heard threats on there. I've heard people say all sorts on there, and it's just let go.
Well, certainly in terms of videos that I've ever put up myself, I always try my best to knock out and delete any of the comments that are
I'm glad we're in agreement.
Why should we be? An agreement on Brexit, an agreement on lots of things. So, it's not good. It's not good to what Speaker's Corner. I know there's an argument, well, it's bringing it to the world, so it's bringing it to a bigger audience, but it's having a negative impact on what actually happens at Speaker's Corner. A violent, negative impact. Because there's little boys in their bedrooms threatening nonsense online.
Yeah, and the live streams. And,
yeah.
But a lot of the time it's just threats that they're not going to follow up.
Oh yeah, but you don't know, do you? You don't know. You've asked that question twice now. I've given you an answer twice. But you never know. I've had threats online, but who knows which is a...
followed up on that threat?
No, they haven't. They haven't. So far. Probably, hopefully, yeah. But there is still violence that breaks out here, and some of it has been.
Do you know what? Sometimes things do get heated, but at the same time, people get irritated. You have to get everyone has to shout at each other.
But we've just.
I have seen violence from non-Muslims here. I don't want to name names, but I have seen it.
There are non-Muslims that like to incite violence as well.
Of course.
It's a thing where, end of the day, it's not violence. Is something that we don't aim for. It's something that happens. It's something that should be kept to a minimum. But at the same time, the most important thing is that a platform has to be there for people to actually debate. If people do get violent and intense, fair enough, fine. As long as they actually overstep the mark.
Well, you've just said if they get violent, that's fine.
If they get a bit intense,
is there a level of violence that's okay?
Okay, someone can be violent in terms of talking violently.
That's not violence.
Okay, physical violence.
Talking about physical violence.
Physical violence. Okay, that should not be happening. But end of the day, if people want to get heated and debate wants to get intense, there has to be allowed to happen.
For me, Ralph is a nutter. Ralph is, I've met Ralph, and I don't actually have a problem with him individually, but I feel that if people are going to build up Ralph and spread that kind of, what I said before, the distinction I have with freedom of speech, you can criticise Islam, but as soon as you start dehumanising Muslims, then
what's the borderline? What's the definition? How do you?
Well, I think.
But I'm sorry, that cannot be a law.
I heard someone literally.
I think that's a respect thing.
You cannot. What were your words? Sorry, what were your words then? But you do not slander my prophet, did you? What? You didn't use the word slander. What did you say?
You didn't say my prophet.
No, you said you asked. How can you? What did you say?
No, but what I'm interested in what you just said.
I literally said no. I'm not saying personally me from my point of view. I'm just saying in general, right? You can start off by not slandering.
You just say he's alright.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Yeah, like I was just back there. Yeah, like someone's just walking past. They're saying, okay, the man over there. Yeah, someone's making a remark about that man saying, oh, he's telling Jack Hanuri stories, like stuff like that. Yeah, like ignorant remarks like that. Yeah, shouldn't really be made like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just.
But you can't. I
don't really care. I know you can't outlaw it. Obviously, I don't care. Like,
I don't want to be on.
Obviously, I'm quite a tolerant person. I'm quite a tolerant person, so the way I see it, it's just you don't have to fuzz my face, by the way. It's alright. But like I said, no. Anyway, as I said, with like ignorant remarks like that, I'm a tolerant person. I can take it like whatever, innit? It's not a thing like that I don't get triggered by it, but other people might, and just people need to be a bit more respectful of it. Do you know what I mean?
We are in the home of free speech.
Obviously,
so
we are.
I know. Limiting it because someone might be triggered.
Like yeah, no.
You agreed.
It's true. Like I said, innit? Like,
I didn't reach an agreement.
You did no, but you also.
That's why, like, that's why I don't get angry. That's why I don't get angry when like remarks like that get made. I don't get angry. I don't get angry. I don't get mad. Whatever, innit?
When you were talking about homophobia and dehumanisation of gay people, that's when you felt stronger. When I said that.
Because I came back to the point that we covered earlier.
Dehumanisation of homosexuality.
Things that you have no choice on should have stronger legal protection.
So it's fine to dehumanise things that you do have a choice.
If I have a belief, a thought, a faith, an ideology,
then there can be
dehumanised. Yes.
Dehumanised.
Yes. Because it's a thought, it's a belief that I've chosen.
I can say to you, I want all Christians removed from the country. I can say that, yeah. And I can spread that.
That shouldn't be illegal, no, to say.
It shouldn't be illegal,
however abhorrent or wrong or vile or you disagree with it, it shouldn't be made illegal.
And I haven't said make it illegal, but I can stand against it.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
you can.
So if I feel end of the day, I can distance myself from Syria. I'm not going to do it.
At the end of the day, you can always choose to walk away.
The thing with free speech is,
I don't like.
Everyone's allowed to say what they want to say, but at the same time, you have to realise, okay, you're free to say what you want to say, but at the same time, like. You've got to understand, you're not free from consequences. Like, if you can say whatever you want to say, but there's gonna be a reaction to what you say.
But then that sounds a bit like giving in to the bullies and the thugs. Though.
No, but you have to be ready
for
that.
You can say what you say, but you've got to realise that someone might thump you for saying that.
Look,
that's not the society I want to live in. I'm sorry.
It's not great, but sometimes, someone might get angry. One person might get angry,
Nazi
whatever.
Germany, and I know,
and they might not like it.
I know you know, but Nazi Germany, where the Jews, they were saying.
You can still say it if you want.
They were saying about big noses.
No one's stopping you.
They were dehumanising Jews over a period of time.
It's just every action has a reaction. It's part of life. Literally.
Like that. Then they were putting pictures of them, mocking them. Over time, Jews were dehumanised to the point where Nazis were, a lot of them were normal Germans, actually got to the point where they could kill them.
And the solution to that is not banning words.
It's not allowing it spread. It's not allowing that spread. That stuff. This is my opinion. That's my opinion.
But can
if you're happy to live in a society where that stuff spreads,
can I point out?
That's your.
The BNP was a nasty, truly racist organisation. It had a guy called Nick Griffin. Now, the BBC put Nick Griffin on Question Time one night.
Are you UKIB?
Cover that in a minute.
We'll go down.
So BBC put Nick Griffin on Question Time. There was a load of people, and I went down there and I watched them. They were protesting outside the TV centre on Wood Lane in Shepherd's Bush, saying, no platform for racists, no platform for racists. Even though I thought Nick Griffin was a vile specimen, I thought those people shouting outside the TV centre were absolutely wrong. And I think, and what happened, I think, proves my case, because the BBC allowed Nick Griffin to go on Question Time, and within months he was destroyed. Within months, the BNP were destroyed because the entire population, if they hadn't seen him before, saw what a fucking idiot he was, saw what stupid arguments he was putting forward, and he was destroyed. So therefore, you don't destroy bad arguments by deplatforming people, by silencing people.
Yeah, but you say he's an idiot. There are some people that are quite clever, so that's an example of an idiot maybe. But there are some clever people out there with those ideologies.
So you're saying if there was a clever racist person, if that could exist,
no, I'm not saying
they should be silenced.
I'm just saying we should cut it.
You did say that you want certain individuals free speech protected.
I possibly think
he wants the comment section is restricted as well.
People can say what they want to say. People can say what they want to say. Literally.
Well, come on, let's face it.
Would you
at one point,
come on, read out the questions.
Paraphrase. Would you be happy with Anjam Chowdhury coming
Well,
to the park and speaking?
Right, that's a very good question, and it's a very reasonable question, and my answer is I'm not sure whether he should, because he is a terrorist. He was encouraging people to move towards terrorism. He was treasonous. If we still had the law against treason, he would have been convicted.
What's your definition
for that.
of terrorism for him?
Boss, at one point,
if you're encouraging violence against the state that you're standing in, that you're living in, that you're part of.
What if you're encouraging violence just to a people?
Sorry?
What if you're encouraging violence just to a people? Because I'm wondering that it's not just Anjam Chowdhury.
Encouraging violence to anyone is wrong, whether it's an individual. What do you mean good?
I mean, at one point you said you were okay with someone saying okay. Like,
I'm not 100%. So back to the question about Anjam Chowdhury. I'm not 100% sure about it, but I think if I had to come down on any side, it would be the likes of Anjam Chowdhury shouldn't be allowed here. The likes of Bilal and Suleiman, who I believe are absolute adherents to Anjam Chowdhury, they tiptoe around it because they're tiptoeing around the law because they know they're under heavy surveillance by the state, quite rightly. And you know, the day that they got their ISIS flag out, or whatever flag you want to describe it, we know why they got it out. We know why they got it out. We know why they got it out because they're idiots, they're children, and it's all part of the power games that they're playing, sucking up to Anjam or Anjam's types, and they're playing a silly game. But you know, they are under probably 24/7 surveillance, as thousands of others are. So yeah, I don't think they should be allowed down here because I think they are dangerous people. Like you think far right extremists shouldn't be down here.
I said they shouldn't be allowed here. I said
you campaign very much for them.
Organised violence.
They shouldn't be allowed to organise violence.
Conspire to commit violence.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. If that's what they were doing, I would agree with you.
What about Tommy Roberts?
I mean,
people that give me a specific question about.
So what about people that similar to that people that incite violence on the far
Do you
right?
think
If
Tommy Robinson had ever incited violence, he would still be walking the streets? Do you really think that?
No, but
he himself hasn't. He himself hasn't. Okay, he himself, yeah, he's someone that like he's danced around. He's danced around it. He will never. He himself. He's actually quite an articulate man, Tommy Robinson. Like, I'll give him that. He's actually very articulate. Like, he's someone that he will never explicitly incite violence himself. Even when he incites it, there we go. Then you're not.
Not the Manchester Street.
No. There's a video clip of him saying to someone, "If you get away with it, not on camera, punch him in the face."
Yeah, that's pretty much his strategy. To be honest, that is pretty much what I was gonna say. His strategy is like. A lot of the time he don't really.
If that is true and he said that,
maybe one time.
I can't believe he's not been prosecuted for that.
Maybe once he might have, but like, even then, the way he dances around it. Like, he leads people to like large protests. He leads people to these like
large protests.
But what do these large protests? What are these large protests lead into though?
So when all the
a lot of these protests ain't peaceful though. They're not peaceful.
Brexit, are these protests peaceful?
Boss.
Oh, so if it's about religion, it's wrong.
You can tell me a lot of these, most of these EDL marches completely peaceful, especially like the ones in like Luton, like smaller towns over there, Shrewsbury.
I wanted to go back what I thought you said earlier, where you said, I thought you said, maybe you didn't. They're all about freedom of speech.
But there's been marches in Telford, Luton,
the boundary is do not insult my prophet.
I'm pretty sure 1-2 shot.
Okay, I've heard people say that freedom of speech is okay, but you must.
Sorry?
Can you continue from Jordan?
No. We had a motion to talk. Yeah.
What I would say on that thing
is it okay to insult your prophet?
No, but I would say I think you should probably, as a respectful Englishman, not do it. But it's not. It shouldn't be against the law.
The thing is, who decides?
It's not against the law. Just something like if you're a nice guy, don't do it.
It shouldn't be against the law. Have you ever done it?
Oh my God, yeah.
You have. So would you say you're disrespectful?
To your prophet, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
But is there a way of critiquing the prophet without?
There are different
without,
styles. There are different styles, aren't there? There's satire, there's ridicule, there's scriptural analysis, there's philosophical debate. There's many, many ways that you can come to.
The thing is, there are certain words,
and I think you should be allowed all.
But you may be having an emotional argument with somebody, and you may say things like that, but then you're actually you're hurting a whole bunch of people.
If I was,
it's just out of respect.
If I was going out my front door and my Muslim neighbour was coming out of his door, obviously to turn around and say, "Your prophet's a P word," shall we say? Yeah. That would be disrespectful.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's very uncalled for.
But that sort of dialogue here at Speaker's Corner should be absolutely lawful and fine.
And it is.
And that's how it should be.
I mean, yeah, it's not against the law.
Because as soon as you start even nudging towards the direction of stopping it or preventing it or making it unlawful, that's a slippery slope. And who makes the decisions?
To me, it's a dehumanisation of Muslims.
If I criticise and ridicule L. Ron Hubbard, there's going to be a whole stackload of Scientologists that are going to be highly insulted by that. But what if someone was suggesting don't insult Muhammad? You would have to accept that you can't insult L. Ron Hubbard as well, and the Thetans and whatever nonsense is in Scientology. It's a ridiculous and slippery and dangerous road to go down, and we must never go down that.
Just as a respectable person, I just choose not to do that. I don't understand why. I don't understand why people sort of.
Delivery, not the message.
Yeah,
it depends how you.
I don't understand why freedom of speech
and the context and where you're doing it.
They want the license.
Because there is a famous quote, and unfortunately I can't remember who said it, but I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something along the lines, free speech without the ability to offend is not free speech. There's a quote, something along those lines. And that was an illegal case. A very if we can't offend one another, we don't
have you ever insulted Jesus? Have you ever insulted Jesus?
Yes.
You've done that as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay, at least you're fair in it. What, Buddha? Might have in it.
I don't,
No, not really.
The thing is, I personally, this is just personally me, I don't really want to live in a society where everyone's just going around abusing each other to that extent. But
the thing is, when you've got,
if that's where you want to live, then
let's talk theoretically. If you've got one community who are pushing that and who basically want blasphemy law just for their own religion. To me, I didn't even name it.
It's not a thing of blasphemy law.
The blasphemy thing gave it away.
No one's screaming blasphemy.
Exactly. So you did say
they're the only ones doing it.
No one is screaming blasphemy.
I'm trying to avoid it, just because sometimes, because whatever the argument is, you should be able to apply the arguments for other situations, because otherwise it's a weak argument. Which is why I took the I word out of it. And now you made me forget what I was going to say. What was I saying? Yeah, who decides? Who decides where the parameters are? What you can insult, what you can't insult? And again, I come back to what the Christian preachers do here at Speaker's Corner is in no way more hateful or insulting than what the Muslims do to the Christians. They're challenging one another's scriptures, one another's faiths, one another's ideologies. You know, the kuffophobia that goes on week in, week out here is fine.
But interestingly though, we've had Tan come and go. We've already gone about what he said about Islam, reducing the population.
He didn't say that. He said about wanking on the Quran, yes.
Okay,
he did not say killing, slaughtering,
did I say
reducing. You said reducing the population.
Did he say he did? He said reduce the population from 1.6 billion.
By conversion.
Yeah, I didn't say. Did I say anything else other than that?
But you were playing along.
You've assumed it. No, I haven't.
That was your direct.
Here's my point. He didn't specify, so he left it open
because he was sensationalist.
Yes,
and that's
he left it open on purpose.
His whole method.
But that borderlines onto hate speech because some people will listen to him. It does. But anyway, so we had Tan.
So it was clear he was pushing the boundaries of free speech. That's what he was here to do.
We had Tan do that. Then we've got Ralph at the moment who's saying deport all Muslims and there's a war coming.
I don't think he said any of those.
He has.
Here, no,
here. Well, he said it in the comments.
Here or online.
And I'm pretty sure.
Again, comments on the video.
Just go and look on one of the theory videos.
How do you feel, boss? How do you feel? Yeah, like the thing is, yeah. it's a thing where like a lot of these like hateful fucking people, yeah, like it's almost like they're basically being told that it's okay.
Yeah, but
it's okay to be racist. They're being basically told it's okay to be racist. Like, we're gonna allow you. We're gonna allow you.
We've got Tan and Ralph who said revolting things about Islam. And that's kind of, and you always you sort of be on the side of, yeah, but it's freedom of speech are allowed. But I just get the feeling that if someone was to come around and hate along, you know, someone was to hate towards gay people, or someone was to hate towards, you would be well against it.
They do that every week. There is virulent, vile homophobia.
Show me. Show me where it's,
just look at the internet. Just look at the YouTube videos. You keep saying that you've not experienced stuff here.
My point is, and you know, to me, Speaker's Corner is a little bit
from gang as much as from Muslims.
Okay, Speaker's Corner is a little bit of a window to the world, I think, and for me, it definitely seems to be acceptable to say what you want about Islam. But if you say things, you could say the N-word. That's not acceptable, and I support that. That's not acceptable. You can say other things, and you won't last long at Speaker's Corner if you come out with that. So if you were going to say,
you won't last long at Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, I think Tan's final demise was when he started going into other people.
Tan's final demise is his visa ran out, and he had to leave the country. That's his final demise. That's why he's not here today.
You say he wasn't removed, but
he was on that day.
Everyone was united.
He was never banned.
Everyone was united. Everyone was united.
They were.
Sorry, but what's your name?
Jordan.
Jordan, with someone who takes Islam,
Fine.
but not in a antagonistic
Absolutely
way.
fine.
Why shouldn't it be
that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, there's I guess that's
obviously
the
there's
point.
things with
It can be done in a non-antagonistic
not every
manner.
member of Islam.
And,
To me, it seems that Muslims are just more ultra-sensitive.
Sure, maybe they are. Maybe.
And because
think
again,
it-
I want to make the point. I want to make the point. You only need to criticise, let alone ridicule. You only need to criticise Islam, and you're branded a hate preacher. I've been branded a white supremacist.
You seem sensitive, Steve. You
say something wrong about Jews. It depends how. It depends how
wrong about Jews. You become an anti-Semite.
People banding the word racist
It's the way
to
you say
people.
it. It's the way you say
It's vile, and it's gonna be damaging to deal with the real racists.
Why do people call you racist,
because
do you think?
because I criticise Islam.
You don't see any reason.
No, it's not that you criticise Islam. It's maybe
The way I do.
Steve,
Thing is,
do you
a
criticise
lot of
the Jews?
people, a lot of people.
You should criticise
Me personally,
everyone.
the whole thing of satire and that, I can take. But true say, a lot of Muslims, they might not take the satirical approach.
And they're worse people.
Community that live in like Stanford,
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
absolutely.
Completely marginalised lives.
I'm not sure if they're so high in numbers, but it's still bad, even if they're in lower numbers.
I'm just saying,
Still very
it has to be
kosher
inclusive.
slaughter is as wrong as halal
But I
slaughter.
think he criticised
But the other, but the difference.
At
in
least
that-
you're saying
in
it's both- they're both-
One difference is though, Tesco's doesn't
He's
sell
not
kosher
Muslim.
slaughtered food without
What's wrong with halal food?
without labelling.
What's wrong with halal
But
food?
Tesco sells halal slaughtered food without labelling it. We have to have labelling. We have to know what we're buying, and that's not the situation.
Are you against halal slaughter?
Yeah, but let's not get into it.
No, I just wondering why? How come?
Because that's not what we're
All
talking
my
about.
non-Muslim friends
free
taste
Surely we
better.
should understand, like, if someone came to my country and they did
Where's your
non-Islamic
country?
things, Pakistan, if they came to Pakistan and did non-Islamic things, they'd be criticised as well. So surely we have to have some empathy for people of his generation. Who,
It's your choice
My
whether you
generation.
yeah, I mean, you're not old.
No, to be fair,
Steve's not that old.
I'll give you
Steve's
that.
not that old.
How do you think I am?
I quite like you.
No, but people from his generation.
Don't say that.
No?
To be fair, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
You'd probably be a bit more tolerant had you have grown up with Muslim friends. Like, you probably would be a
I
bit more
live in a
tolerant.
very Muslim.
Yeah, you live in a Muslim area now, but was your area Muslim?
Where I
as
grew
you
up as a
were growing
kid, no.
No,
But what you have to understand
Yeah,
is,
Muslim friends, not
if
really,
people
no.
come to Pakistan and start doing whatever they want, it's not going to be tolerated. Therefore, we should understand with the Western, with these ethnic grids, the white, they are the ethnic grids, if they sometimes feel other practices are alien to their culture. We have
And
to
that's
be
what it is about
empathetic. It's just about
practices.
empathy.
It's not about skin.
I don't think you have to.
I've
adhere
always
to
gone out of my
anything.
way to say it's got nothing to do
When
with
my
skin colour.
family see people doing certain things, like wearing a miniskirt, they find it in my country they would never tolerate it. So it's a similar thing. It's just a shock in the culture that you're not used to. We should try to empathise with them, not attack them.
There is and there has been cohesion in this country. My fear is if it goes or if it diminishes or if it reduces. I don't know. That's my biggest fear. I don't want lack of cohesion, which is why you go back to, you have to have one law for all. You have to respect. We all have to be governed.
We should have a parallel law.
I know it does, but many people don't.
Honestly,
And the British state government almost seems to actively roll over to create.
Well, the thing is,
not
the
having
things
one
to be
law.
as they should be. There needs to be more open-mindedness for society as a whole. That's the thing.
This country,
I think we just have
And the
to
problem
explain
is
to
there's
these
too
type
many
of people.
social issues that lead to this hate anyway. That's the problem. Half of the people that come out with this hate speech are coming from similar backgrounds. Whether they're coming from MD, Muslim defensive or English defensive, they're literally coming from the same. They're all coming from poor backgrounds, backgrounds where they've had nothing, parents on benefits.
Steve,
you know what I mean? Steve, it's more to do with social issues than it is to do with religion or race.
Steve, I've got a question, Steve. Steve, quick question, yeah? Okay, cool. Put religion aside, yeah?
I wish we could.
I really wish for the sake of this conversation, right? So I think some of our biggest concerns right now, us as Londoners, I'm assuming everyone here is a Londoner.
Life crime.
Yeah, or Great London, whatever.
It's more to do with societal issues. That's what I've been saying, literally.
So we put
from religion, hatred. It's all boils down to societal issues. People from the EDL and people from Muslim Defense League.
Let's put that aside.
They're all coming from.
Bro, put that aside.
They're all coming from They're all basically.
They don't like it when you mention Muslims in the
sense. Even from the Muslim Defense, MDL and EDL are reactions. The thing is, it's a thing where they're both coming from the same sides of the coin. You know what I mean?
Quick question.